least Raw has been doing, I wouldn't call it a great job, but a better than average job of building up to it.
And I'll say this for Payback. I think the Payback card looks a lot better on paper than WrestleMania did, but that's not saying much because WrestleMania just failed to deliver in so many ways.
Indeed. So let's just get through the Payback card and, maybe we'll have high opinion, low opinion, no opinion, but let's just see where it takes us. And we'll start with Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin, but I can't even
wait,
start
what about
there
the pre-show?
Well, I was about to say I can't even start there because of the free show, but Abby, you just kind of stole my thunder. So, yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
No, it's just, Ryback goes to Dubai and bitches about his spot on WrestleMania, and what happens next? He gets the same spot on the next pay-per-view.
With the same person, no less.
Exactly. And it's like, I was thinking about that on SmackDown tonight. Why is your U.S. champion in a random match? Why is your U.S. champion on a pre-show?
Exactly. Why is and Stevie had started off with Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin. Why the fuck are you putting that on the main card in a U.S. title match on the pre-show? How much sense does that make?
It's WWE. Let's stop looking for logic and common sense. We're never going to find it.
All right. Well, can I just say I hope Kalisto retains again, and whatever doghouse Ryback's in, he can stay there?
Yeah.
I concur. Yeah, that's all that really needs to be said.
And as for the whole Ziggler versus Corbin thing, it's just weird right now seeing Dolph Ziggler's name in anything, considering what just came out about his brother.
I know. He kind of went on radio silence after that happened today after tweeting a lot.
Yeah.
And then that news breaks and he just shuts the hell up.
I would too, because, you want to support your brother, but there's really nothing good you can say that's going to reflect well with your employer about that.
No, and see, he's known for putting his foot in his mouth on social media, so it kind of surprised me a little bit that he didn't get out there and say something.
Right. Maybe he finally smartened up, unlike Cameron, huh?
Oh, God.
So in Ziggler versus Corbin, since it's a singles match and there's no title on the line, I say end of days Corbin wins.
Ditto.
I'm going to go in the other way. They gave Corbin that Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal win, but then he's just been losing, and then, I see his downward spiral continuing.
He's losing what? He hadn't lost since he came up to the main roster.
Yeah, I was trying to think of when he lost too, and I was kind of confused.
I guess it wasn't so much of a Raw. It was Ziggler coming out and saving us from having to watch a Baron Corbin match. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, well, we got one on SmackDown tonight, the one that we didn't get on Monday.
I just don't want to see that face in his stomach on my TV ever.
And you can almost see his hairline recede even more during the match.
You can watch it recede in real time.
I know, it's running away.
He's going to need the Hulk Hogan bandana for it before long.
Oh.
Brother.
Well, speaking of people I wouldn't mind using the word brother, if he works it into his promo, Enzo Amore can say brother as many times as he wants. He and Big Cass are taking on the Vaudevillains. Please
let Enzo and Cass win. The Vaudevillains, for me, they just don't seem like main roster material.
I like the Vaudevillains. I really like that Party Like It's 1899 line that Aiden English used.
No.
Oh, man.
This is the number one contendership for the WWE Tag Team Championship, and I just think there would be so much of a clash of face versus face team with the New Day going against Enzo Amore and Big Cass, where if you take the New Day, who's already these huge over faces, and you put them in with the Vaudevillains, who are heels, it just would make for a better program and free up Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy to take on the Dudley Boys.
See, I'll take the opposite tack on that. I think Enzo and Big Cass work because it doesn't matter whether you put them with a face team or a heel team. They're going to talk smack about everybody.
Yeah, and they're going to talk so much better smack with the New Day.
Yeah, they could actually get a good back and forth going with the New Day that I would really enjoy that feud. So they've got to win this. They just have to.
Yeah, and they've been built up a little bit more and a little bit better than the Vaudevillains have.
Who really are an NXT gimmick that never should have left NXT. They were perfectly entertaining on the small screen, but I don't see them being main roster caliber.
No, they're going to be in the wasteland with the Ascension before, at least the other member of the Ascension before long.
I hope not.
Left.
Another 50 days.
It's like I don't see the gimmick of the Vaudevillains having longevity, but I think you can kind of do it in the short term and then repackage them as something else. But I think bringing them up with their NXT gimmick is the way to go.
Well, they could have repackaged the Ascension too, but they never have.
Yeah, and what are they going to repackage them as? They're doing vignettes right now from Los Matadores on, like these, what was it, like 2002 vignettes for Carlito? Walking around the beach with palm trees, and, I expect to see them spitting apples soon.
Primo and Epico, we're a thing. Really, we are.
The beautiful flowers of Puerto Rico. They only grow here.
Yeah.
We are the most interesting tag team in the world.
They've already bored me.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
They're getting up to that Uso level of boring.
And that takes some work.
Well, speaking of bored, Bret Hart couldn't be more bored with this pay-per-view. He's come out and said it in interviews, like, if it wasn't for Natalya, I wouldn't be here. I couldn't care less. That's an exact quote.
Well, tell us how you really feel, Bret. Don't hold back. Don't pull any punches. How you really feel about the WWE, Bret?
Well, can you blame him?
Not at all, no.
They rarely, if ever, recognize him. They let the drunk dude who gets detained for disorderly conduct and tells Natty to kill herself, they have him on every week. But, Hart, who literally carried their company through one of the leanest times of the company, is pretty much, hey, come on up here because we need somebody to, counteract the drunk dude in the other corner.
Well, yeah, and for what Abby's referencing, for those who haven't read the news or heard, he was...
Or lived under a rock.
Yeah, but basically Flair was detained at the Logan International Airport in Boston because he cut himself open, either tripping over his luggage or because he was drunk and stumbling around. The police at the airport say he wasn't drunk, and we have their word against everybody else's, so you believe whoever you want, but he was not allowed to board his flight until they stemmed the blood and gave him some time to rest.
Well, see, yesterday they also said, and this was the police, the security people at Logan Airport, said he cut his hand. It wasn't his head, it was his hand. And then today they came out and said, oh, it was his head, and the reason we detained him is because there was so much blood dripping off his face down onto his neck. So it's kind of like, who's paying these guys to say this?
And not on top of that, but when they mentioned that, I'm thinking, Ric Flair probably busts open at the least thing that touches his forehead these days. He could get brushed by a fly and spout a gusher. So, all it would take for him to legitimately bust his head open would be to trip over his luggage and smack into a wall. That would easily do it.
Yeah, and then plus pictures came out yesterday afternoon of him tossing them back at the lounge at the airport. So it's kind of like that whole story, the initial story that came out was right. Then everything that happened yesterday afternoon was spin, and now the real story is coming back out again. So.
Yeah, I don't even know how to interpret any of it anymore. I just know that Ric Flair, at his age, I'm starting to really, much like his skin on his forehead where he gets cut open very easily, it's starting to wear thin with me. Like, you're too old for this, Flair. You don't have to be Ric Flair, the nature boy, the man. To be the man, you got to beat the man at your age. You don't have to do it anymore.
He's
kind of
a
a character
anymore. It's like, yeah, he's a parody of himself at this point, and he's not helping Charlotte get over, and I really wish he would have been detained and arrested just so Charlotte could get over on her own without Daddy being at ringside, because Daddy being at ringside does not give you any credibility as a heel.
No.
It doesn't give you any credibility, period.
And honestly, just ruined the three-way for me at WrestleMania. It was such a beautiful match until he interfered.
Well, I guess they're playing up that whole dirtiest player in the game thing, which just doesn't work anymore.
No. And
not when there are two people doing it.
But let's just bottom line this match. As far as I'm concerned, Charlotte retains whether Daddy helps or not.
Yep, that's about how I feel.
Yeah, I think Charlotte's going to hold on to that belt until she loses it to either Sasha Banks or Bayley.
Absolutely, and I hope it's Sasha. No offense to Bayley, but I feel like Sasha got robbed at WrestleMania. She needs that comeback. She needs to get that win.
I'd love to see that, too. Maybe we'll see that down the road at SummerSlam.
Yeah, well, that is what they're teasing right now, is that's going to happen later this year, so maybe SummerSlam. But in the meantime, in between time, we've got Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for about the 10 millionth time in their career, and that's not a complaint. It's just a fact.
And it's going to be great if they're given the proper amount of time. If they go in there and, Owens does what he did or has been doing in house shows and fakes an injury and then goes for a quick roll-up and you get a 5-minute match, and that's just going to suck.
Yeah, well, I would say this with the caveat, put an asterisk here. If they have any common sense, and the asterisk would read, no, they don't. But if they have any common sense, these guys go at least 15 minutes.
I would hope so.
I'd like to see, a long match in this one. I'd like to see the babyface Sami Zayn come out on top, just so that at the following Raw we can see Kevin Owens come out, attack him, beat him down, and then have this feud continue on.
They're going to fight forever, so.
Yeah, and I mean, it really does make sense for Zayn to get a win here at some point, because he's doing the job all the damn time.
I think they're trying to make him into the next Daniel Bryan, that ultimate underdog thing.
Or Rey Mysterio.
Oh, no, they want Kalisto to be him simply because of the whole mask deal.
Right, but that was how they always used to package Mysterio that way, too, as the biggest little man, the guy who wasn't supposed to win but did. So
it'll be a good match no matter what.
It should be, at least if we all agree, as long as it's given enough time, it will be.
And if there's any match you're going to give a lot of time to, this should be the one.
And I know which one that Abby probably wishes would be given the least time, Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho, because she's so sick of Jericho.
I am sick of Jericho. I mean, I used to love Chris Jericho back in WCW when he was, the man of 1,005 holds and off in Washington doing his conspiracy thing. And, even the suit wearing, I'm the best in the world at what I do, heel, he was great. But this whole 46-year-old, front man of a quasi-rock group, allergic to shirts, Chris Jericho, just doesn't really do anything for me.
Buying $750 scarves, $750 elevator platforms. It seems like every piece of clothing that Chris Jericho buys is $750. And I do like the feud with Ambrose because Ambrose doesn't take a shit. And Ambrose can just come right back on the mic, insult Jericho like water off a duck's back. Jericho's insults just blow right off of Ambrose. And I definitely like to see Ambrose go over in this one. And Chris Jericho needs to put somebody over after just burying AJ Styles at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's one thing we're going to have to watch for in this one is how it goes.
Go ahead, Abby.
No, because I haven't heard anything about Jericho leaving anytime soon. And normally he'll put whoever over if he's fixing to go on tour with Fozzy again. But haven't heard anything, haven't seen anything or read anything. So I think this will determine a lot about where Ambrose goes going forward and what they're going to do with Jericho if he goes over on Ambrose like he did on AJ.
I didn't mean to jump the gun on you, Abby, but there's some booking problems that I have with this, and since AJ's already been brought up, it's the fact that AJ lost to Jericho, but now he's the number one contender, and we're getting to that in just a minute here. So he lost on the biggest stage of them all, and yet he's getting the world title match. And same thing with Dean Ambrose. He got totally destroyed by Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, but now here he is, third or fourth from the top with Jericho. And now to make things all right with the world, we're going to have Jericho lose to Ambrose. Does that really help Ambrose at this point? Did it help AJ Styles to lose at Mania?
You left one thing out here too, Stevie. You left out that Shane McMahon lost to The Undertaker at WrestleMania, but then he got to run Raw anyway.
Oh yeah, they've killed every stipulation every result that could possibly matter. They've totally destroyed it all. And yet, as you and I said on last week's show, Jason, it's like they've backed their way backwards into a good show because somehow, despite killing every stip and every match finish, they've actually had a good month.
They backed into it, and the Raws have been kind of going downhill. They started out really hot, and it's just kind of like, you kind of, with as bad as WrestleMania was, you really do have to throw that continuity out the window because you have no place to go after it happened with all these results that can lead you nowhere. So, I want to see Jericho lay down here.
That's just, you're right, though. We got to throw continuity out the window. I'm just going to pretend WrestleMania didn't happen. Pretend that nothing in the last month happened. Pretend that Ambrose Island, for that matter, didn't happen. And I'm just going to pretend that this is a one-on-one match between two guys that I like, and the guy I like more is Ambrose. That's all I'm going to think about.
Well, welcome to WWE, where the gimmicks are made up and the storylines don't matter.
Pretty much.
Name of this show is Who Watches Wrestling Anyway?
Yeah, if we want storylines that matter, we'll watch New Japan or Ring of Honor. Well, you know what? With this next match, I'll watch it, but not because I want to see The Miz. I just want to see Cesaro.
Oh, yes. Cesaro. All the time. Cesaro.
You know how you say you never really root for injuries in matches? I think I'll be rooting for an injury for The Miz in this one, because I don't want to see The Miz on my TV ever. The Miz had his chance as the world champion, and it didn't work, and now they're giving him the Intercontinental Champion, and my goodness, I mean, the guy's wife is more over than he is.
That's why I see him actually winning this match.
I hate to say it, but I think Abby's actually right. They didn't bring back Maurice just to make the Miz a jobber.
And
Which
plus,
sucks.
Cesaro is Swiss. How is the guy ever going to get over?
He is over. He's been over like 10 times, and they just refuse to acknowledge it.
I was channeling Vince McMahon there. Why have him win? He's Swiss.
I realized you were being sarcastic, but I was responding to it in all seriousness the same way I would respond to Vince McMahon. I'd be like, the guy already grabbed the brass ring, asshole. He is over.
Exactly, but I don't think Vince sees it.
No. As Dave Meltzer has said many times recently on his show, Vince's eye for talent isn't what it used to be.
Maybe he needs to have LASIK or something. Or glasses, or a nice retreat to, an island where there are no telephones or Wi-Fi or anything but circling sharks.
In the words of the late, great Heavy D from one of my all-time favorite B-sides of a single, when it comes to Vince McMahon, you can't see what I can see. You're blind, baby. You're blind from the facts.
He's just so out of touch. It's ridiculous.
Well, that leads us quite nicely to the main event then, Roman Reigns and AJ Styles. He still thinks Roman Reigns is his poster boy, his new John Cena, his I'm not a good guy, I'm not a bad guy, I'm the guy. And boy, have they beaten that into the ground.
I hate him. I hate him.
They have actually managed to finally turn me off of Roman Reigns. It took this long. I still supported him because I just hated Triple H more. But now with this whole thing with AJ Styles, it's like, no, I cannot possibly root for you in this match. I want the Bullet Club to come out and destroy you and put AJ Styles on top of you.
Yeah, but we all know that's not going to happen because despite Stevie's refusal to admit that anything in the last month in WrestleMania happened, AJ lost at WrestleMania and got the number one contendership just so he could be fed to the guy to make him look more legitimate and strong.
And they have been building the storyline with Anderson and Gallows and Styles not wanting their help, and it will be interesting to see if, we know that Anderson and Gallows are going to interfere. Are they going to interfere directly on AJ Styles' behalf? Are they going to turn on AJ and beat down AJ? Are they going to do a thing where they try to hit, say, Roman Reigns with a chair, he ducks, and Styles eats the chair, and it's kind of accidental? Are we going to see Finn Balor come up? Are we going to see the worst-case scenario possible and see Roman Reigns join with Anderson and Gallows?
Yeah, people have floated that idea of Anderson and Gallows joining with Roman to create the Roman Empire, which makes me just gag.
Boy, you want to see the fans hate him even more. That's how you do it.
Well, yeah, if you were going to go full on nuclear heat heel with him, do that.
Yeah,
I honestly don't know if they are trying to turn him heel and it's just a real slow burn, or if they are stupid enough to think that he's still going to get over.
You know what? I think I can make a t-shirt for myself now. Stupid Roman, stupid hair.
Well, he does have stupid hair, too.
Stupid vest, stupid tattoos, stupid Superman punch.
I call him the walking hair product commercial.
Stupid booking.
It's just finally gotten to me. I felt like I was the last Roman Reigns fan on Earth, and I just can't take it anymore. I've tried so hard to support the guy, and in the end, it doesn't even matter to channel a song.
Oh, you're
Stevie
not
J,
the last fan.
Roman Reigns holdout, no longer.
You're not, because last night on Twitter, we all got into a fight with this girl who was saying that Nakamura couldn't wrestle. Oh, yeah. As you can imagine with our group of Twitter people, that did not go over well at all. That he was a new fad and a new thing, and she wasn't a sheep, and, she wasn't one to follow trends, and then you go look at her profile, and she's a Reigns fangirl. It's like, oh, well, this explains it all. I don't need to hear anything else out of you.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And to channel Chris Jericho, I would have just told her to shut the hell up.
Well, I pretty much told her, oh, you're a Reigns fan. That's all I need to know, and then I muted her.
Well done. Well, that is WWE Payback. And yes, sadly, Roman Reigns is probably winning the main event by hook or crook. Probably. Well, there's like a 1 in 100 chance that he doesn't. I'm not putting high odds on it.
There's like a 1 in a gazillion chance he loses.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the bookmakers are predicting something much closer than that, and I'll look those odds up tomorrow when I write an article for MMA Oddsbreaker, but not here, not now, not yet, because right now it's time for our closing plugs. Abby, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, let's see. New Japan World, as always, because it is so much better than the WWE Network and a little bit cheaper.
Yes, indeed, about $9.15.
Still a little bit cheaper. Let's see. You can find me on Top Rope Press and Ringside News and Pro Wrestling Authority. Let's see, my cheap plug for the week will continue to be PuroCentralShop.com, even though Kevin scarred me for life and cost me sleep this week by, tweeting me a snake picture, of which I am terrified. But yes, for all of your New Japan and Kana and Puro merchandise needs, go visit Kevin at PuroCentralShop.com. And you can find me on Twitter at Abby A. I kind of got my old Twitter handle back and lost the middle name and all the numbers.
Yep, it's no longer Abby Brooke 2121. It's just straight up Abby A.
Yes.
And I love it. And Jason, what do you have to plug?
I'm going to plug my Twitter too, at Great Sudoku. Me and Abby will both be live tweeting Dontaku. We'll probably end up live tweeting Payback as well, so get on Twitter and join in on the fun on that. Yeah, and JPW World, the best 999 yen you can spend a month, which comes out to about $9.30. I just checked. Veggiebending.wordpress.com. Check them out. And, of course, AngryMarks.com for all your pro wrestling and MMA news.
One of these days I've got to make a pot of coffee and buy a case of Red Bull and get up and watch it live with you guys instead of watching it the next morning or the next day.
You should.
Yes, you do.
Kev has gotten up and watched it with us.
Mm-hmm.
I've just gotten too used to my sleep. What can I say? I go to bed at 11 or midnight now, and I never used to do that. I used to be up till stupid o'clock every morning, but it somehow wore off.
You've got to do at least one show where you're up at stupid o'clock with the rest of us crazy people.
I'd say do it on Dominion. Dominion tends to be kind of that halfway through the year big show, so.
Yeah, maybe Dominion will be the one I do that for. Although this Dontaku card is definitely tempting me. If there's one card I'm more excited about that we talked about on tonight's show, it's definitely Dontaku.
It should be good.
Yep, but we got to wait for that one, and we got to get through Payback in the meantime. So hopefully it doesn't turn out too bad, and hopefully the show didn't turn out too bad. I hope you all enjoyed Thursday Night A&P with myself, Abby, Great Sudoku, and our producer, Kevin. So thank you for listening, and have a great night, everybody.